Alright, everybody, coming back with episode 4 of Arcane. Ooh, it was. I'm. Oh, how do I start this? I mean, again, I've talked about all this. What I'm expecting. I mean, we got to learn what happened to Vi when she was taken. And, I mean, we know to some extent. I can guess what happened to Powder. She was taken in by Silco and his toxic. And it's like he's basically become her father figure, excuse me. And it's probably he's not the best father role model, and it's probably a very toxic relationship, and that's part of what leads to her being Jinx. But with Vi, I'm a little uncertain what's going to happen. It's like we know Marcus took her in a way, as he said, if he notices her, if Silgo had noticed Vi, he would have killed her. So it's like he saved her, but then what did he do with her? And from trailers and stuff, I'm guessing she ended up in prison. The question is, did he throw her in prison, or what? And where is this all going? Fuck it. Let's just get into this. I'm ranting and rambling, and I'm just trying to avoid it. Okay. So as always, I'm setting it up with a cutoff to help sync up, and it has the timer for, so you can follow along and try and help you sync up with a timer and some action on this shot here. Ugh. Ooh. I should have done this earlier in the day. All right. Here we go. 40, 27, and counting. Happy Progress Day. Go. I didn't take much notes last time, so I'm not sure if I will, but here's the option anyway. Okay. Stanwyck? What? So he's a teacher. Stanwyck sounds familiar. I'm going to have to look that up. Okay, so there's been a... So there's been a bit of a time skip here, I guess, because if they've built hex gates, sounds like a big deal. And Poro. Yeah, I'd say it's gotten bigger if we're looking out over it. It's like Piltover's grown a lot. It's been some time now. So this is like teleporting gates. Pretty cool. Fast way to travel. Yeah, I'm guessing that's Victor's leg brace. All sunshine and roses in Piltover. Oh, now she likes him. And a handsome man. Oh, okay. So here we got Kate joining the police force or the enforcers. I didn't quite catch that. Was that the dude with no pants? This is our mystery owl mask guy. Oh. Oh, okay. I think I I think I know where that's leading. Hang on. Ah. Oh, she survived. But it looks like she's been like she's got like maybe like hex crystals embedded in her body or something. 'Cause she's sort of glowing. Yeah, I'm gonna go take a stab, and that's Echo under that mask, grown up. So maybe it's been a lot longer than I think. So it's like it's been a lengthy time skip, if that is Echo, as I suspect it is. Because you have to remember, Echo is was a mechanical sort of prodigy, and who else would build these? Oh, oh no! I was like, oh shit. Okay, so yeah, now Powder is Jinx, and she's got a reputation for being terrifying. Great. This has definitely been a lengthy time skip. I actually gotta take a gander at take a shot at guessing how old they were in Act One and Act Two. I forgot to do that. It's like now with a time skip. Oh, is that Oh, boom. Oh, yep. Yeah, this is definitely a lengthy time skip. Okay. Is that a is that a possible Warwick? That wouldn't fit. Oh. No. Oh no. So she's sort of struggling between. Oh. Like we're out of time. Oh, it's 5 minutes before the crystal breaks. Holy. So she's clearly struggling with with her things. What was that? Wait, no, she lost her arm, didn't she? The the enforcer girl, the not the enforcer, the girl with the scars on her face. She lost her arm in the explosion, I think. Yeah. See. So yeah, they let Hextech as long as they did what they wanted first. I was like, so yeah, gonna. Okay, so much more stable now and can be handled without serious danger. There it is. There's the glove. There are the gloves. So that would benefit. I think the mining and the fissures is. Oh my god. Victor. Oh my god, how did I not notice that before? Fuck, how did I not know he's also a champion? I'm not paying attention. I think that is. Whoa. Not super safe. Victor. A little bit. When you're 300 years old, it does. True. It's like, I mean, he has a valid point there. It's like, that is very dangerous. And it's like any technical advancement, somebody will find a way to abuse it inevitably, unless you try to safeguard it, and you can't really. Oh, is Kate gonna go on the case? Okay. This is kind of reminiscent of League of Legends. Kate on the trail of Jinx. Oh, she's working it out. Like, she fired wildly everywhere. Oh, and she hit someone. Caitlyn showing her investigator chops, because that is her thing. She's a sort of, yeah, she was a PI and she's a sheriff and she's a case solver. A detective basically. Oh no! Oh no, he's in charge. Oh, and unfortunately he's on top. Fuck. Well, we know he'll be out by the end of this. Okay. Some improvement in looking more like Zon. Oh, it's still. It looks like Shimmer's taken over. Yeah, if you could, then you would. So that's interesting. Oh. Oh, so he's using shimmer on his eye. I think he did that earlier in his first introduction. He was doing something like that. Now this is reminiscent of how it was with Vi. It's like focus on what you can do and not trying to be the fighter. And it feels like she's still trying to pursue that. It's like if she was strong enough, she won't be left behind again, sort of thing. Sorry, do I want what? I forgot to check if that's Erica Lindbeck, who is the partner there. I thought she was an assistant, but she looks like she's her own. Although that might have changed over the years. This girl. Yeah.
Aren't the cats in? Oops, sorry.
Well. Well, her grenades work now. And they got, chompers now. Oh, yeah, see here. Yeah, this is the struggle. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, so this is the same old story. And their ghosts are literally haunting her. It's like now I think about it, it's like how did I miss it? He's freaking Victor, who is also a champion. And he's got a sort of third shoulder arm laser cannon thing which they've built. And it looks like he's getting worse though. Okay, so he's the golden boy and Victor's kind of left behind, but it sounds like Victor's not interested in the spotlight. So, I mean, that's still not kind of cool. It's like it was their project, but he's getting all the glory. It's kind of a douchey thing to do, even if Victor isn't interested in the spotlight. At least try a little harder, I suppose. He seemed pretty easy to go up there. He didn't push it. But it's like, this has been a long time. We don't know how the relationship has evolved. He could know by now that he's just not interested. Gonna talk more about that. Oh, that reminds me, yeah. It's like mentor staring you down. It's like, okay. Oh, I'm a little curious there. Yeah. Yeah. So he is interested in improving life for everyone, but like I said earlier, Piltover has made sure that it has prospered for the already rich and powerful first, and has benefited them primarily at this point, and it has kept him from researching things that could have helped, like the Hex Gauntlets. If I'm not mistaken, the Hex Gauntlets or the Atlas Gauntlets, sorry, were originally mining equipment from the underground. So yeah. Okay. Oh no, this is going to be Jinx showing that she can do things, and she's only making it worse. It's like repeating history where she wants to help and she's only going to make things worse. In this case, it's just for Silco instead of for everyone else. In her attempt to prove herself, she's going to make things worse. Shit. Oh, she just killed a bunch of enforcers. This is not good. Yeah. Yeah, this is bad. Oh. Oh shit. She took the gemstone. Oh no. Because you've ignored them and they got tired of waiting? Oh, now you say it. Oh, he's still working on the kid's toy. and that person is Jinx, and she might be a little unstable, but she's got the chops. I'm not sure how the gates would be an issue. The gates send people out, not in. It's like, shit. Okay, so it's all on him now. That's a music video for Jinx. Yep, he's coming to get her. It's like, okay, this isn't good. This is a bad situation. Half right. She's not in charge, but she works for him. It's like this is the sort of, you can see the sort of corruption in politics going on here. It's like, and this is sort of showing her chops where she's an investigator and she's sort of she studies all these things and figures all the big mysteries out, and that's what she's doing here. It's like she's the only one onto it. It's like Marcus, I'm guessing, is still working with Silco, so he knows. Hmm. Oh, here we go. Oh, did she straight up kill him? Oh no. Like, here we go. The the first meeting of this epic sort of duo that these two are in Piltover. Oh, oh shit! I don't know if that's okay. No, it's paused. Uh, yeah. So that's the first epic meeting, because that's the thing about Kate and Vi. They're sort of the buddy cop pairing of Runeterra, where these two very different people work really well together, and they're sort of the epic duo for Law and Order, and that's how this is the meeting. So it's interesting. It's like, it's reminiscent of all those other buddy cops you've ever heard of. So it's interesting to see it here. So looking at this, it's got to start with. I'm gonna try and start with the sisters here. We got Jinx and Vi, and their story since leaving. I guess the first thing to figure is the time skip here. Like, how long has it been? It's clearly been a lengthy amount of time, because all of these, I would have put Jinx or Powder. I would have thought if I had to guess, I mean, if anybody knows like a confirmed age group or anything like that, if I'm like, feel free, but I'm going to go just assumptions here, that she must have been 8 to 10, maybe. That would be my guess. And then uh, I'd say Vi compared to Jinx or to Powder is like 2-3 year time gap minimum, if not more. So 8 to 10, but then I'd also say, from the sort of relationship that they had, that I would say that Powder was a kid, but Vi and her friends were sort of teenagers, like early teens. So I'd say like minimum 13, 15 for Vi in Act 1. That would be my guess. And the so it's like 13, 10, 13 would be the age group, maybe, with a 3 year gap between Powder and Vi, is the rough idea of where they were at the end of Act 1. I still think it's hard to tell. I mean, when they were younger on the bridge, I would have guessed a 2 to 3 year time gap. But then when they were older in Act 1, I would have figured a much larger gap than 3 years. And it's hard to tell. So it could be, it's like if it's 3 years, 3 to 15 or 13 to 15 for Vi, and then minimum 3 year age gap, I'd say I'd be surprised if it was any shorter than that for Jinx or Powder. Then she would be 10 to 12 following that gap. So not 8 to 10, 10 to 12 for Jinx or for Powder in Act 1. And even that, I mean, it could be, but I still feel like that Powder was single digits in Act 1. Like, she wasn't 10. I feel like it's like that's a stretch, I think. So 10 to 12 is a hard gap for me. That's why I suspect more 8 to 10. And that it's a larger gap than 3 years. But now we get a look at Powder, now Jinx, here, and she's definitely a late teen. You know, like, she's late teen young woman. She's got to be, I'd go 17, 20. So if we go on the idea that she's 8 to 10 in Act 1, and she's now sort of 18 to 20, now it's been 10 years. It's been a decade of development in Hextech and life. That's the rough guess that I have. That's what it feels like when I look at this, that it's been that. And that's a lengthy amount of time to be gone. So so we, looking at Jinx, she's grown up, but she's still very much, she's haunted by the demons of her past. Clearly, she's built doll versions of the two people she feels guilty for, and it's like, it's the age-old thing. It's like, I would say it's not her fault. It wasn't an intention to kill, but then there's the guilt. It actually reminds me, there was a story I think I heard once recently, a recent news story about how, I think it was like a young kid found a gun in his house and was just playing around with it and ended up pointing and shooting his mother just out of fun and killed her. As like, it was an accident. It wasn't the goal, at least as far as I know, of this kid, but this kid is going to have to grow up with the burden of having killed his mother. I can't even imagine that is what that's like. And so it's the same thing here, where Jinx has basically grown up, or aged at least, and lived with the guilt and all the trauma. And she's dealing also with the abandonment of Vi, where it's, in the beginning, in that end scene, she'd written her off. It's like her sister has abandoned her. She's not my sister anymore. But then we come here where she confuses the Firelight Girl for Vi. And you have her flashing back where it's sort of like she can't, it feels like she's conflicted over, does she want Vi in her life? Like, she hasn't completely written her off, but it's like she can't decide where Vi stands and like how she stands. Like, does she want Vi in her life? Does she want to not need her or anything? And that's why she freezes up and she flips out. And it's very much, this is history repeating itself, and gives the sense that she's not really matured. She's still that little kid, Jinx. And she's repeating, is like she hasn't learned her lessons. She's stuck. And she hasn't really learned the lesson because she's, I guess, so it's like basically, she was weak. Her understanding, her opinion of this is that she was too weak when all the bad stuff went down, and so she had to be left behind. She tried to be strong and help her friends and save them. It went disastrously wrong, and her sister disowned her. And so now it's like, and especially for things like, she needs to be strong in order to not be worthless to her family, because if she's not strong and not useful, she will be abandoned again. That's her feeling. And I'm not sure if that's the case with Silco. Like, it's like, it's like two ways I look at the relationship between Silco and Jinx. It's like, he's taken sort of a father role with her, but knowing classic villain styles, the question is two ways. One, he protects her because he empathizes with her as somebody who's been abandoned by their family, and he's taken her in, and he's taken the role as her father figure in a way. And he does care to an extent. Like he, when what was the enforcer's name? Svelka or so whatever. Svelka, the ogre. She comes in and starts berating. It's like the kid's a liability. She flipped out. We need to get rid of her. Ditch her. She's damaged and broken, and he's not hearing any of it, and he's blaming Svelka. I think Svelka for the failing. It's like it was your job, and he's making excuses. It's like she flipped out and fired on it. It's like accidents happen in battle. It's like he's siding with Jinx basically in this event, and it's like people are talking. It's like who's talking about Jinx, and it's like, so you get the sense, and it could be taken two ways. It's like, one, he in his way he cares and empathizes and sort of sees her as his daughter and isn't going to abandon her no matter how bananas she gets, which in a way has its way. But then there's also the classic villain role where that Silco has, at this point, over these years, has acknowledged her gadget. It's like he knows her gadgetry. It's like I think he saw in Jinx all of the talents that she had, and he sees how he can use that for his advantage. And basically, he's nice and kind to her to keep her with him. But if she ever turns on him, he'll cut her off. He'll happily cut her down. That's option two. It's like, I hope it's not quite that case, but I don't know. It's like he's definitely not the best. He's not the. I mean, he tries to look out for. It's like, take time. You don't need time. It's like, you do. You just flipped out. It's like, that would be kind of a father move to do. And it's like, your kid just had some trouble. It's like, take a minute. It's okay to do it. And it's like, she doesn't want to. And it's the repeating cycle where she feels, if she's, like I said, Jinx has to tell herself she's not weak. And if she is, because if she's weak, people will abandon her or she will lose things. She's got to be strong. But the history has repeated itself because even though she's grown up physically, she's still mentally a child. In a sense, it's like she hasn't learned from the lessons, so she feels like if she's going to be strong, and so she goes and does this horrific thing, killing a bunch of enforcers, thinking that's going to prove that she's strong, and it goes disastrously wrong. It's going to cause problems. This is going to come up, and I'm going to take a wild stab. Marcus is working with Silco still. That they had kind of a dark version of the deal Vander and Grayson had, that keeps the enforcers from getting in Silco's way and allows him to do the things he's doing. As for Silco's, like, his dream of Zon, it seems like odd that it's like he had a dream of separating, but he hasn't been able to do it. It's like he had a dream and he had a plan, but he didn't plan for Hextech, and then that came up and it's made Piltover a massive international trade route. It has exponentially evolved their commerce and stuff, and so it's left Zon further and further behind. And he didn't plan for that, and he doesn't, and he's trying to do something about that, to, at least so he claims. That's the thing. Is like, again, is he trying to improve life in Zon, or is it really just about himself? As like the way he talks and the way he's going about it, it's kind of vague. It's like he's trading in Shimmer, obviously, and that's drugs and stuff. It's not good, but it's like Zon doesn't have a lot of opportunities. He built something to bring in money, to bring in job and work and something, in a way. So we don't really know the extent to that he uses it, though. Is it all about him? Is it all for him? Or does he try and improve Zon's standing? But it's not working, because for all the improvements they're doing with Shimmer and he did mention something else. That counselor mentioned something else. Shimmer and augmentation, I think, which is one of the things of Zon, is like the major things of Zon is chemicals and robotic augmentation that they have. And it seems they've been improving their technology, but they're still that's the thing with League of Legends, is that there's the hex tech of Piltover, which is safe and stable and powerful, and then there's the chem tech of Zon, which is more varied and stuff, but it's also highly dangerous because it runs on toxic, dangerous chemicals. So it's much more volatile and much more dangerous and much more unsafe. And it feels like that's sort of the race that they've gone to, a sort of chem tech, hex tech race, arms race, for want of a better term. And they're losing because fundamentally hex tech is better than chemical. It's safer and it's stable, but so that's, it's like I think he did, but it's not going well. That's what I like to say. I don't want it to be that he's just the villain. Like, it's all me. It's all hatred. It's like he's trying, but he just, it's basically like you said, the system is rigged against him and he just can't win. And that would be a more sympathetic villain rather than just the full-on, evil cackling as lightning strikes behind him villain. I kind of hope it's more than that. So we don't quite know what his goal is. He's shipping Shimmer. By the sound of it, I don't know where that was going. That was a shipment that I think was going international. So he's got some international partners too. And I suppose that's the fundamental difference, is that one of the fundamental differences that are in play with Zon and Piltover, it's like in Zon, technical advancement can happen faster because there's no regulation, there's no Heimerdinger in Zon telling you to be careful or worry about who might get it in the wrong hands. It's just build something useful, and so dangerous stuff can be built. And so he might already have sort of international investors in Shimmer and other things that he's trading with them. Silco, I mean, that gives him an international base that Hextech doesn't really have. It's like, yes, Hextech has allowed for international trade, but I don't think they're trading in Hextech yet. The only thing they have is the Hextech gates for Piltover and possibly other ones stationed in other parts of the world, and the stable crystal now. But any other working about helping the common man has gone unmanned for this apparent decade that I'm guessing has gone by. And again, as he's suggesting, building, they had the Atlas gauntlets, and that's clearly a change to the story where the Hextech gauntlets are Vi's main weapon, but in the story they were originally Chemtech Atlas mining gauntlets. Just like he said, they were built for miners in the fissures to help them work better. So it's like, in other words, those Atlas gauntlets are pretty much for Zon in a way. They were built for them, to help them. And it's like in the original lore, they were originally Chemtech gauntlets that would have been developed in Zon, which then, when Vi moved to Piltover, they were augmented and updated with Hextech, because fundamentally Hextech is safer and more stable and overall better than Chemtech. So in this case, it's straight up Hextech from the start. So it basically shows that although Zon, in some ways Zon has improved. It's like they've built up and they seem to be thriving relatively, considering that it sounds like they've cut each other off. It's like, they have left it unchecked, but it seems to be thriving to some extent. I'm sure there's problems, especially since Shimmer seems to be, basically it's like, yeah, it's prospering under a drug regime, and the drug that they're applying is extremely harmful and addictive. So you have to imagine there will be some downturns. That's sort of the whole, again, the moral of Piltover and Zon is it's demonstrating they're a fine example of what helps one person screws over another, sort of deal. And it's the same with Shimmer. It's like Shimmer has elevated some of Zahn, but I'm betting others have not fared so well. And we're probably going to get into that. I'm getting off on a rant. And we got Marcus, who showed up. What did I want to say about him? There's not much to say. He didn't have much of a presence here. It's like he's sheriff now. He's taken over for Grayson. And I'm going to take a guess that he's probably working with Silco. That's how they were so easily able to get that shipment through customs, I guess what you would call it. Like, if the Fireflies hadn't attacked, it probably would have gone off without a hitch, and their stuff would have got wherever it was supposed to go. I'm still not quite sure whether that was being shipped to somewhere in Piltover, or if it was going somewhere international. But who knows? That I'm sure that will come up when we learn more about his master plan for improving Zahn or setting Zahn free. Curiosity. Yeah, we had the Vi. That was the one I wanted. It's like how Vi has been. It's like, so we learn now Marcus, I'm guessing that once after Marcus took Vi, he immediately put her in Stillwater. So she's been in there this whole time. And that's a shitty life. And it's like, I have to wonder what it's like for Vi, where the last thing she saw was her sister at the mercy of Silco, who had just effectively been largely responsible for taking everything from her. So it's like, there's one of two ways I can think of that Vi has been thinking about it, is that one, Silco killed her sister, killed Powder, and she's dead, and there's nothing she could do, and she's stuck in prison. And she failed her family. She failed that last thing that Vander asked her to do, protect Powder, keep her safe, keep the family safe, and she utterly failed. And so she's been in jail ever since, and she's just stuck physically, and she's got sort of reverted to her base, just punch her way out of things, even though she had somewhat learned the lesson that, as he tried to teach her, your fists aren't going to solve your problems, they're just going to make more problems. But she's sort of gone back to that, it feels. And the other way I can think that she's done it is that maybe the small, tiniest, hopeful part of her thought maybe that because Powder was in such a vulnerable state and completely defenseless, maybe Silco would have the slightest bit of mercy and not kill Powder. Because, I mean, he didn't logically have a reason to. He didn't know that her bomb is what blew up the building. I don't think he made that connection. And I don't think he had a particular issue with her. So it's like maybe Vi hold on to the small hope their sister's alive. And so now we're going to have this instant here with Kate, who's coming in looking for Jinx, and she's going to recognize it, and not quite sure how she's going to... Oh, no. Kate isn't a cop anymore. She's a counselor security, so she might actually outrank police. She might have the authority to get Vi out. So that would be interesting. And so that'll be the start of their buddy cop journey, which is kind of how it worked. It's like they ended up partners largely because they both were looking for Jinx, and her antics in Piltover are what sort of brought them together, and that's what they're doing here, so it's nice to see that. Otherwise, Vi was largely absent. What else we got? Jason, Kate. Is that what the other... Or sorry, no, what else did I have? Victor, for fuck's sake. That's what I was going to go for. Victor. No, it's not Jason, Kate. It's Victor. My God, I didn't make that connection until I saw that arm. It's like, yes, he's another champion. For those who are not aware, he is another champion, and he is... Part of his get-up and his build is that he has this sort of mechanical arm that has a laser on it. It's like when when they had that shot where it was coming up. They had that shot of him and it was coming up and it was like it was on his shoulder, on his back, and that's later it's just behind him. But it's like that shot made me realize it's like there's a fucking hero that has an arm like that. And it's like it's fucking Victor, and I hadn't made that connection, and I feel so stupid. And this is proof I'm not full up to date. There's like 200 heroes or 100 and plus heroes easily. I don't know them all off by heart, but I do remember the story there. But I'm also pretty sure that the Victor is one of the more villainous ones. So it's like, in other words, I have a strong suspicion it's going to end with Victor, because like you got kind of that with his relationship with Jace. It's like they built this together, but Jace is the golden boy. I don't see anything about Victor. Now we got some of that where he's like, "You should be up there with me," and Victor's like, "Not in front of all those people." So yeah, you can make the argument Victor's not interested in the fame and fortune, so it doesn't bug him. But are you sure that's the case? Is it that he doesn't give a shit about it and he's happy to give the spotlight to Jace, who loves it? Or is it that that just sort of started happening and he's not admitting to it? He's not. And there was a little bit of disappointment in his eyes, I think, when Jace didn't unveil their suggestion at Heimerdinger's request. He didn't reveal the Hextech gem. And it could be that it's not necessarily about the fame and the fortune. It's about the progress of technology, and that it's like, in a way, in that moment, Jace picked between Hextech and Victor and his shared dream and Heimerdinger's warning. It's like they both were pro let's progress Hextech, let's start helping lives now. And Heimerdinger was the one saying caution is best. And Jace heeded it in that moment, and it might feel like a small betrayal to Victor that he did that. And it's understandable. It's like the caution he's pointing out, and as he said, it's very reminiscent. It's the same old story. It's just like he warned them that Hextech could be dangerous in the wrong hands, and immediately after, Jinx used it and it ended up killing a bunch of her friends. There's that parallel that happened in Act 1, and it's the same thing happening here. It's like unveiling it puts it at risk of ending up in the hands of people like Silco and Jinx, where in the state that Jinx is in, that's not going to end well. Except the only difference is that this time, you get this distinction that this time when shit goes bad, it's because Jinx will have designed it that way. It's like if anybody's going to make a weapon out of that crystal, like they're worried, it's Jinx. And that's the worry that I have, is that she's going down that path. It's like she's clearly unstable and conflicted about her emotions and can't decide. It's like she can't decide. She can't decide if she wants her sister. I don't think she can decide if she wants her sister in her life or if she doesn't want anything to do with her or kill her. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen when they meet again, because that's coming now. So is there anything else that I wanted to? I guess I haven't really gone into Kate and Kate. I like Kate where she's talking about, she's the privileged, as far as I guess. She's like the 1% in Piltover. It's like Piltover is the 1%, and she's the 1% of the 1%. So she's really high up, and she is open to taking something of a lesser standing. And she wants to. It's like part of it seems to be is like she has a knack for this. She's got a knack for investigating. She's got a knack for it, and she wants to see the world, as she says. Like her parents are trying to shield her from the world, and she wants to see it. but I'd also say she's probably to this point lived a shielded life. So it'll be curious to see how she reacts to her interactions with Vi and going into Zana. This is going to be fun to watch. And yeah, so yeah, the last thing would be Heimerdinger, and that was I'm getting the sense it's like he enjoys progress and innovation, but he's slow and methodical about it. And I think part of that is because he's a longer. I think Yordles are a long-lived species. Like he said earlier, he's 300 plus years old, and he doesn't seem to be a frail dignation, which means basically he has 10 years to spend working on equipment before bringing out. Humans don't have that time. We don't have a decade to spend on possibly life-saving equipment while people are dying. We don't have that luxury, and I feel like it's driving a wedge. It's like it's sort of that's again a sort of gray characters like Heimerdinger's the voice of caution and being careful. Is like don't want Hextech in everybody's hands because in some people's hands it's going to be dangerous, so you need to be prepared for that. But why he's so for that is because he has the time to take it slow and people don't. And I have a suspicion that Victor is getting worse as well. There was him coughing, he looks paler, and I'm pretty sure he didn't have a full arm cane in Act 1. Like in Act 1 he had a cane, but it was a regular cane, not the all the way up into his shoulder. So he may be deteriorating, and that may be part of what drives a wedge possibly between him and Jace. It's like Jace might heed some of Heimerdinger's caution, but Victor doesn't have time. He doesn't have 10 years to wait to study life-saving things. He needs it now, and that'll become sort of a wedge and a desperation that Victor might try something drastic, and it might lead to some bad results. Or a split, at least, between these two, who seem to get on along pretty well. I mean, there's the whole, again, Jace is the golden boy, but it's like it's not entirely on him. It's like if you have a friend who doesn't want the spotlight or is nervous about the spotlight, you can't force him to take it. And I get the feeling like that's the thing is like, is it that Victor was reluctant to share the spotlight or reluctant to be in the spotlight, and Jace wasn't, and that it just became about Jace and everybody forgot about Victor, and it's like that's the standing now, that's how it works, and Victor's just like he tells himself he doesn't care, but a little bit he does. It's like he's not getting recognition for his accomplishments, and that might be driving a little bit of a wedge between us. Like I don't think so. I mean that's a possible story. We've heard that story before, but I don't think so. And damn, I was on it. I had a thought about that, and now I've lost it. I think it could also be like if I'm right, and Victor's deteriorating, possibly dying. It may be that his priority just is to work on Hextech because it could save his life, and the spotlight doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Who cares? It's like when you're facing mortality, who cares if you get to share the spotlight if you're dying, basically. It's like, worry about that crap after you have time. And so that'll be the thing is like, we'll have Heimerdinger, that'll be the sort of thing, Heimerdinger suggesting caution, be careful, the downsides and things, and Victor will be pointing out the positives that need to happen now because people are dying, namely him. So, and then Jace caught in the middle of this. It's like be caught between a friend and a colleague who helped him realize his dream, and Heimerdinger, who is a respected mentor figure. It's like, what do you do? Caught between these two. He's like, he's already made a decision here. We saw that where he made the decision to hold it back on Heimerdinger's suggestion. So we'll see how it all goes. I'm ranting. It's gone well over an hour. I've talked for half an hour. That's bad. So thanks for watching. Thumbs up if you like it. Comment below, especially if you've got any confirmation about, any of the things we've been talking about, or any of your views and thoughts. And see you in the next one. All right. Bye.